Consequently, the Right Honorable Speaker, I move that the Honorable Joseph Asai Wusu do take the chair of this House as the first Deputy Speaker. The Speaker, the Honorable Joseph Asai Wusu was born on 22nd January 1962 at Bekwai in Ashanti region. Speaker, I do believe that members of this House, those continuing, do know him, but those joining us may not know him. And it is the reason why, for the purposes of the record, it is right to say one or two things about him. The Speaker, the said honorable member had his basic education at St. John's Catholic School, also at Bekwai in Ashanti region. He continued with his education at Bagbin Secondary School, Bagbin, Ashanti, was GCA honorary level, and Wenchi Secondary School, Wenchi, for his advanced level certificate. He proceeded to the University of Ghana, where he obtained a combined degree in law and classics in 1987. The Honorable Asai Wusu continued to the Ghana School of Law, after which he was called to Ghana by 1990. Since then, he has been in legal practice in different forms. The Honorable Member started his legal practice with Yarbema and Co. in KINGSFORD for 4 years, after which he relocated to Kumasi and teamed up with Mr. George Sapon and Abu Kwame Osei-Prempeh to start Adom Chambers, from which he engaged in private legal practice for 9 years before he joined public service and served as Chief Executive Officer of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, for 6.5 years. Speaker, he subsequently obtained an executive master's in governance and leadership from GIMPA in 2007. Prior to joining DVLA, the Honorable Asai Wusu had held other leadership positions as the Secretary to the Ghana Bar Association, Ashanti region, elected Assembly Member, Bekwai Ashanti region, SRC President, Ghana School of Law, and JCR President of Commonwealth of University of Ghana. After 6 years, 6.5 years at DVLA, the Honorable Asai Wusu resigned and contested the Bekwai seat and entered Parliament in January 2009 as an independent member of Parliament. He was re-elected to represent the people of Bekwai from January 2013 and has been with us since then. Speaker, as a member of Parliament for the 5th and 6th Parliament, the Honorable Member served on a number of committees. He served on the Appointment Committee, the Road and Transport Committee, and the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, of which he was the ranking member. On January 7, 2017, he was unanimously elected as the first Deputy Speaker of the 7th Parliament of Ghana. He is the leader of Ghana's delegation to the Pan-African Parliament as the first Deputy Speaker of the 7th Parliament, and indeed the Chairman of the Appointment Committee, which position, Speaker, officially ended with the 7th Parliament having been prorogued midnight yesterday. He was also the Chairman of Privileged Committee and a member of the Roads and Transport Committee, among others. The Speaker, this is the member that I propose to the House as the first Deputy Speaker. I so move, Speaker.
Honorable members, any seconder?
Speaker, I beg to second the motion that the Honorable Asai Wusu Joseph be the first Deputy Speaker of the 8th Parliament. And in doing so, Mr. Speaker, I've had the privilege and honor to work with him as Chairman of the Committee, of the Appointments Committee. He discharges his duties with diligence. He knows his law, the principles and case law where necessary to support his argument. He also served on the Constitutional Legal Committee of Parliament, and his contribution to debate is always informed by depth. Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion. He's already served this August House as first Deputy Speaker, and have discharged himself creditably and have been very supportive of the Speaker. I beg to second the motion.
The Honorable Member for Swami, Honorable Osechi Mensa Bonsu, may now table his letter of consent.
Speaker, the honourable member submitted his letter of consent to me, but unfortunately, in the developments that ensued, looks like it cannot be traced in the confusion that ensued. The Speaker, I'll make a spirited effort to retrieve it and submit it to you. Now I want to pray you to consider and indeed deem it as having been tabled in this House. The Speaker, I shall submit.
Honourable member, I understand the situation, and so you are at liberty to submit it later. I may allow a few months of probation, but I'll apply the rules strictly, and I may not allow too much interruptions. Honourable members, because of the learning curve, I say I may allow a few months. After that, we have to go strictly according to the rules. I already pledged to abide by your will. And you also have to pledge to abide by the mastery of the rules, practice, and procedure of the House as decided by the Speaker. The rules will definitely tell you how to disagree and when to disagree with the Speaker. With that, honourable members, I want to know whether there are any other nominations. Honourable members, there being no other nomination, I hereby declare the Honourable, my own. I can say without any fear of contradictory that he was my former colleague. I now declare the honourable member for Bekwai constituency duly elected as the first Deputy Speaker of this House. Invite nominations for the election of the second Deputy Speaker. Yes, Honourable Member for Asawase.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker, in line with Article 96 of our Constitution, and Standing Order 12.2, arise to propose Honorable Andrews Isiama Mako to propose Honorable Andrews Esiaba Amako, independent member of Parliament for SUMANA constituency, to take the chair as the second deputy speaker of this August House. The Speaker, my colleague, Honorable Andrew Esiaba Amako, is a lawyer by profession, a surveyor also by profession, who has masters in conflict, peace and security that was obtained at Kofi Annan International Peace Center. He also holds MSc in Environmental Resource Management from KNUST, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, BSc Land Economy, also from KNUST, then UST. He also holds LLB in law and also a graduate from the Ghana School of Law. He was called to the bar as a bar member and as a member of the bar, and also a member of the Ghana Institute of Surveyors. His work in KMA, that was Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, as a valuer, as a land officer, and estate manager. He has also worked with Akosombo Chambers as legal practitioner.
Please.
The Speaker, my colleague in the Sabbath Parliament was the MPP Member of Parliament for SUMANA, and in a very, very bizarre circumstances, he was dismissed from this chamber in a way that was in a Rambo style. The Speaker, he persevered. He persevered and stood as independent candidate. And because of the good works that he has done in his constituency, the constituency, for those who do not know SUMANA, is a traditionally conservative MPP area, still honored him by electing him as an independent member of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I therefore move that my colleague, Honorable Andrew Esiaba Amako, take the chair as the second deputy speaker. I so propose.
Honorable members, any seconder?
Right, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
I rise to second the motion moved by my colleague, Honorable Muntaka, for the office of second Deputy Speaker of Parliament to be taken by our colleague Esiaba. Mr. Speaker, my colleague Honorable Esiaba, independent member of Parliament for SUMANA in Ashanti, is a man I personally know. We've been working colleagues. He's a lawyer. We've shared notes, we've compared notes, we've learned from each other. He's a man who is easy of address, calm in demeanor, and has demonstrated his ability to work under challenging circumstances. My respected colleague in moving the motion drew our attention to certain essential qualification of the candidates. That is, he has studied in conflict management. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, with that knowledge, I have no doubt at all on my mind that the opportunity given to serve in your absence, to preside over the assembly of this August House,
will be worth the while. Without more, I pray that this House will so consider and accordingly elect him for the office of Second Deputy Speaker of the 8th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana.
Second motion.
I thus second. Thank you.
The honorable member for Aswase, may you table the letter of consent of your nominee. Honorable members, are there any other nominations for the position of the Second Deputy Speaker of this House? There being no other nomination, I hereby declare the honorable member for SUMANA constituency duly elected as the Second Deputy Speaker of this House. Members, order. Honorable members, the honorable member for Bekwai, Honorable Joseph Osei Owusu, popularly known and referred to as Joe Wise, has accordingly been elected as the first Deputy Speaker of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. The Honorable Member for SUMANA, Honorable Andrews Amwako Asiama, has also been duly elected by you as the Second Deputy Speaker of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. I thank you, honorable members, for a good work done. I must say that this should be the spirit that will guide the proceedings of this House for the next 4 years. I hope and pray that you will continue that way in the interest of Mother Ghana. It's not easy to get an independent member of parliament being elected to occupy such a high office as Second Deputy Speaker of Parliament. So I'm aware that some engagement, negotiations, dialogue has taken place before this time. And I want to encourage members, particularly the leaders of the House, to try to make this a way of practice of this House. I thank you and congratulate you for such a good work done. I am informed that we have another assignment to perform. That assignment was initially billed to take place at 11 in the forenoon. Due to the rather busy nature of the work of this House, it has had to be shifted forward to 12 noon. That activity, I know, is well known to all of you. But let me inform you that what I'm talking about is the swearing-in ceremony of His Excellency, the President-elect, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, and His Excellency, the Vice President-elect, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. It has now been decided that the swearing-in ceremony will take place at 12 noon. Today, Thursday, 7th January 2021, at the forecourt of the Parliament House. I want to ask leaders whether there's any indication before I proceed to suspend proceedings of the House. And as I indicated, we'll later reconvene at 12 noon to perform this all-important function. Leaders, any indication, any guidance?
Mr. Speaker, as you have rightly observed, the House at its maiden sitting started gathering here after 10 last night. We've been here for more than 12 hours, and we may have to do some brush-ups before the commencement of the activity of the swearing-in of the President, which has to be done in Parliament and before Parliament. Speaker, we've taken a decision to have this within the presence of Parliament and to have the program conducted in the tent that has been constructed, as we said, the forecourt of Parliament. I require of us to take a suspension of this sitting and to relocate the sitting of the House to the place that we have referred to. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, I may want to move that this House takes a suspension of this sitting to relocate to the tent to have the President sworn in Parliament and before Parliament. Speaker, I so move.
Speaker, I beg to second the motion for suspension and to urge our colleagues and to remind them that Parliament now is properly constituted, and therefore the first step in managing our transition process and in getting President-elect Nana Addo Dankwa, Vice President-elect Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia sworn before Parliament. I do agree with the leader that we allow for some break we had to undergo this necessary to avoid a political interregnum in Ghana and for the country to have its leadership. I beg to support the leader for a momentary suspension.
Members, before I suspend proceedings, my attention has been drawn to the presence of some distinguished personalities even though I don't see them at the distinguished sitting area, but I'm told that they are seated at the public gallery. Please kindly forgive us if we are not able to recognize you and formally mention your name. I have only been given two names in the persons of the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. John Boadu, and the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, in the person of Honorable Johnson Asedu Nketia. These are, as you all know, distinguished, gallant members, particularly of great importance to all of you gathered here. So on behalf of Parliament and on my own behalf, we welcome and acknowledge your kind visit. I now proceed to put the question. And the question is that this House suspend the proceedings and reconvene at 12 noon to continue with the rest of the business of the House. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Proceedings of the House is accordingly suspended.
And that is the conclusion of this marathon evening into the morning. We started off calling it decision night. It became decision morning. And of course, what a decision has it been for this great country of ours. For the first time in our history as a country, we have a Speaker of Parliament who is not from the governing party. Alban Bagbin is a new speaker, and then we have two deputy speakers of parliament, one from the governing party, the MPP, Joseph Usu, and the independent candidate of used to be. If this is a fact, I'll give each to Winston first. Winston, give me your final comments on this long evening.
It's been a very long one, about more than 12 hours now. A good thing is that finally there's been a conclusion, and I think that becomes the coming days would have the parliament that we believe would help our democracy thrive, or one that would help us retrogress.
Joseph?
Historic, dramatic, landmark, all these words will apply when we look back on history and how this day has actually panned out. We are all excited, obviously, that we've been part of this history that has just unfolded. The thing that has caught my attention in the last few minutes, the very calm demeanor of the NDC. You know, they've let go the first deputy position, the second deputy position. When it comes to finishing business on the floor, usually the leader of the majority side and the leader of government business then proposes, and then the minority leader seconds. We saw that unfold even right now. The majority leader, with Chairman Sabunsu, moving a motion for adjournment, for suspension, and then the minority leader seconding, giving him that respect. It looks like after the NDC got the speaker position, they are ready to let a lot of other things go, and we see how that will pan out in terms of them cooperating and getting business done in the House over the next 4 years.
Well, it's now been done done and dusted. Make of it what you will, but I know it's going to be one of those things that we'll talk about for the rest of our lives, that we lived to see a day like this in our democracy. My name is Alban, and of course I've been here with Winston Amwa, Elton Brobe, and Joseph Apokogakpo, of course doing this with a whole crew that have stood on their feet since 10 p.m., 12 hours straight, not sleeping a wink, just so we bring you everything that we did so you don't miss a thing. Listen, we're not done yet. Up next is the inauguration. MFR Pau, my colleague,
Ghana.
Kojo.
Rebless TV. Say it as it
within 2 years, every house in the community or village, they will get toilets and a water problem. Now every constituency will get $1 million. The person beside said, "You will go with Yana or toilet problem."
So I'm for us to come
now. Munya water problem. Now, Mr. said, $1 million per constituency. Who
are minister near more human as over to me? Maybe because you are to be sure what we know. So, someone be a human as it. Over to me, I have a so. Let's try the video. What you was about to pop in the middle of now. For God and country. Any city is one way, MPP is one way. And now the senior citizens, many spectators. Between adequacy. Look
at the way you did shop when I'm vampires in power.
Because the NDC, honestly speaking, have done well in the parliamentary elections. So it's a form of, if you like, distribution of power.
Are you suggesting, Honorable, that this is some kind of favor that you have done the NDC and?
Well, I will not put it that way. That would be very patronizing. But what we're saying is that we, given the numbers, if you look at the hierarchy of things in this country, you take the president, then the vice, and then the Speaker of Parliament, in that kind of order. It means something had to give. Even you recall that even the president president-elect in one of his speeches said, obviously, Ghanaians have made it clear that they want the two major parties, to work together. So that is exactly what has happened. It's God's way of, bringing us together and contriving things. And I'm particularly happy too about what has happened to the independent candidate. We know all the drama that happened to it. There's this famous proverb a man proposes, God disposes.
And so in this case, that is what has happened.
I would say that man proposes, God decomposes.
Thank you very much, Honourable, for engaging us. Let's now move on to Member of Parliament for Ofuaso Ayrebi, and who has also served as a Minister of Information, Kojo Ponkroma. Thank you very much for agreeing to speak to us. Now, what is your immediate reaction to some of the scenes we've seen today? Members of Parliament on the floor, scuffles and all that.
You notice I'm here with my brother, the Member of Parliament for Ejuma Konya Nisiem. I serve with him on the Finance Committee of the 7th Parliament, and maybe hopefully in the same capacity in the 8th Parliament. It goes without saying that we've had some embarrassing moments early this morning, which should ordinarily had not taken place. But I think in the end, consensus has been built. You would notice how, even when it came to the nomination of the first and second deputy speakers, leadership set the bar fresh, and the speaker is admonishing a lot more consensus building and lesson learning from this. I think it's in that spirit that we have to move forward and hopefully rebuild on some of the cracks that have been engineered in the last 6 hours or so.
Okay, so I'll come back to you briefly on the cracks, but let me also acknowledge that we also have Kasilato Forsen here. Honourable, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I'll be coming to you shortly. Now, talking about some of those cracks that you've seen, when His Excellency the President-elect was actually accepting his election by the people of Ghana, he said that there was going to be, he expected that he would work together in Parliament. So far, the bickering, the rancor, I mean, today you came close to blows. What are some of the cracks and how are you going to deal with them?
Like I told you, and this unfolded live on national television and everybody saw it, there were embarrassing moments. Conduct unbecoming of members of Parliament across both sides of the House. There are people kicking ballot boxes, in protest at what they thought wasn't going right. There are people snatching ballot papers. I'm not going to defend any of it. I'm not sure who's going to defend any of it. In the end, we all must quickly come to the realization that we have a democracy to rebuild. And these cracks that have shown up are things that we have to quickly reflect. How do such disagreements even get better resolved in the future so that we don't have this kind of spectacle? But how do we continue with the consensus building, which has started now, to ensure that we're able to deliver the kind of governance that the people of Ghana want?
What do your standing orders say about some of the behavior? Because under normal circumstances, if someone were to snatch a ballot box, if some of those things were to happen, and some of those people took the oath right there, what does it say?
All of that is water under the bridge now. I think we have a task ahead of us, which is to rebuild these cracks, which is to ensure that we focus on what the people of Ghana want us to focus on, deliver value for them. I think that's where we should push our energies.
So these members of Parliament, so to speak, will go unpunished. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not the speaker. I'm sure leadership and the speakership will have a view on that. But for me, the most important thing right now is that we have observed conduct we should not have observed. It's an opportunity for us to learn and to build from it and move forward and deliver what the people of Ghana want. Let's all focus on that.
Let me come quickly to Kasiel Atoforsen on this beat. Now, I'll pose the same questions to you. Very embarrassing spectacles that we witnessed, never before seen in the Fourth Republic. Your immediate reaction?
I think it goes without saying and admitting that indeed what happened today.
Honourable, if you could speak up for us, please.
It goes without saying that what happened today is indeed very embarrassing. It is not good. It doesn't augur well for our democracy. But for me, in the end, I think democracy has succeeded. What has happened today is a victory for democracy, in spite of all what has happened, in the sense that for the first time in our history, we have indeed elected a Speaker of Parliament from the opposite side. You have someone who will be a president and a vice president pending the petition, and also having a Speaker of Parliament from another political party. That in itself, for me, is something that we have to be happy about. It is victory for our democracy. In spite of the rancor, seeing the military coming in, for me, is the lowest of all what I've seen in my 12 years, or almost about my 13th year I've just started in Parliament. I have never come across a situation where military with weapons, including bombs and whatever it takes to enter our chamber. That in itself, for me, is the worst of all what I've seen. For me, that is worse than what Honorable Carlos Ahenkura did. That is worse. Because I take it like an attempt to dethrone democracy, for the military people to enter the chamber of parliament is something that we should never condone as a country. And so I will urge the government of the day, leadership of parliament, to take steps. And I believe that the people of Ghana deserves an apology. Members of parliament deserves an apology from whoever sanctioned the military to come to the chamber. Because, look,
some have likened that situation to a coup d'etat. Is that what you would liken it to?
I mean, no doubt about that. It is indeed an attempted coup d'etat. Anything at all can happen. What we saw in there with the military coming in, for me, it's a dangerous thing, a bad precedent. And if care is not taken, if we don't condemn it and stop it going forward, will be very bad news for this country.
Honorable, let's wrap up on this point. Now, the NDC appeared very confident going into this, selection of a speaker that you would actually get the nod for your candidate, Alban SUMANA Bagbin. Based on what exactly were you so confident?
We believe that the candidate that we presented, the Honorable SUMANA Bagbin, has a track record. Remember, he's the oldest member of parliament. He has served in this house 7 continuous terms, 28 years in a row. So he has made friends. Not just friends, but family.
So let's cut to the chase. You didn't have the majority in parliament. So why were you so convinced you would be able to do this?
You see, we have 137. And we believe that he's that kind of person whose personality cut across the 2 divides, because this has been his home in the last 28 years. And certainly, he may have had family, friends that have transformed into family members. And certainly, with the kind of experience and competence he has, everyone else, if you're objective and think about the democracy of this country and put Ghana first, you will consider Honorable Bagbin as a very formidable person who can help improve our democracy. And that's why I'm not surprised to see what it is. In fact, I'm even disappointed because I was expecting more votes than what we saw today.
Very final bit, I just want a yes or no answer. So is the NDC going to cooperate, have a bipartisan relationship with the NPP in Parliament?
There's no option about that.
Thank you.
There's no option about that. That must happen in the interests of this country.
Kasila Tuforsen, thank you very much for engaging us. Now.